So we are live now.
Yes.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Good evening and warm greetings from Chinmaya Arts and Science College for Women. Let us begin with a quote by Swami Chinmayananda. It goes like this: actions are louder expressions of our thoughts. The quality of the thought is ordered by the nature of our inner belief and faith. Respected Principal Dr. K.V. Surendran, the dynamic resource person, Mr. Jayachandran, Managing Partner, MASCOT Industries, Ms. Ramya, Head, PG Department of Commerce and Management, my colleagues, and my dear participants. I welcome you all for the 12th edition of Chinarts Webinar Series that is hosted by the PG Department of Commerce and Management in association with the IQAC. Today, we have joined for an online session on the topic, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. In need of our topic by Sri Jayachandran, the Managing Partner, MASCOT Industries, also the Chairman of DISA, and many more roles to his credit. With this note, let me invite Ms. Ramya to welcome the participants and introduce the resource person. Ramya, over to you.
Okay, ma'am. Hari Om. Good evening. Greetings to one and all, and a heartfelt welcome to this webinar organized by the PG Department of Commerce and Management, Chinmaya Arts and Science College, in association with the IQAC. Webinars have really been a boon during this COVID-19 pandemic, and it has given us a platform to share ideas, knowledge, and updates. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this webinar. First and foremost, I welcome our Honorable Principal, Dr. K.V. Surendran Sir, and I thank him for his constant support and encouragement. I also extend my gracious welcome to the resource person of the day, Mr. C. Jayachandran, Managing Partner, MASCOT Industries. I welcome you and thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time and accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir. I also welcome all my dear colleagues, students, and all participants to this webinar. Our college has been organizing webinars on various topics, and today's topic, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, finding the way out of a global crisis is a very need of the hour topic. The COVID-19 pandemic has plunged the world into a crisis never seen before, and it is necessary for everyone to be strong enough with a positive attitude to find a way out of this global crisis. I hope this webinar will throw some light on how to meet this tough situation. About the resource person of our day, Mr. C. Jayachandran is the managing partner of MASCOT Industries. MASCOT Industries is an ISO certified and BCI approved textile export firm. Mr. Jayachandran is a person with immense caliber and one of the most prominent and successful businessmen. He has done his BCom from SN College and he has to his credit various positions like Chairman of DISA, Chief Patron of Kerala Textile Export Organization, President of Kerala Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Director of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, promoter of Shantidipam Educational Trust, director of Wake Industries International Limited. He has been the former president, former vice president, and former honorary secretary of North Malabar Chamber of Commerce, and also the former president, former vice president, and former secretary of Kerala Textile Export Corporation. We are very delighted to have you, sir, as our resource person of the day. Once again, I welcome you, sir. And I request all the participants and active participation throughout this webinar. Thank you. Over to you, Anida Miss.
Thank you, Ramya. Let me invite our principal, Dr. K.V. Surendran, to address the participants. Surendran, sir, over to you.
Hari Om. Good afternoon, everyone present over here. Esteemed speaker of this afternoon, Mr. C. Jayachandran, who is the managing partner, MASCOT Industries Kannur, among other things. Ms. Ramya M.K., the head of the Department of Commerce and Management, Chinmaya Arts and Science College for Women. Ms. Anita Haridas, who is leading the technical team. My other colleagues, dear students and participants. I'm really happy that we are hosting another webinar in the series. And as has been indicated, it's a very relevant topic. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and finding the way out of a global crisis. On my personal behalf, I wish to extend a warm welcome to the esteemed guest of this afternoon, Sri C. Jayachandran, who has found time to be with us for some time and motivate our listeners, especially students. As all of us know, the countries across the world are facing an unprecedented situation in the pandemic days. A World Bank report just released predicts that as high as 150 million people will be pushed to poverty by 2021. So that is the grave situation that we are facing today. Of course, as all of us know, basically it is a health crisis. But the problems are not confined to the health sector alone. At the same time, we can't be what I call discouraged and sit back, like cursing our fate or whatever. So the situation should be properly made use of, or we should be finding a way out. Because wherever things go down, or wherever there's a decline in several industries, there is definitely a decline will be there. But there are areas which will flourish. For example, the hospital industry, or sanitation and mask, and so many other areas. And even when we are foreseeing, or even then we look at sort of devastation of economy, definitely there will be a way out. And I'm sure that the day's session will throw some light to how to overcome the situation in which we are put to, and give us some hope and some confidence as how we should be going. Once again, I take the opportunity to thank one and all who are becoming part of this webinar, especially our esteemed guest, C. Jayachandran. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Before we begin the session, few instructions to the participants. Participants, please keep your mic muted and video off during the session. The session is also live streaming in our college YouTube channel. You can ask your friends to join there. During the session, you can post your queries in the live chat box. An attendance and feedback form will be posted in the chat box towards the end of the session. It is to confirm your participation and to send the e-certificate for the attendees. The form will be active only for 30 minutes. Thank you. On behalf of the Chinarts family, I once again welcome Jayachandran sir to begin the session on the topic, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Jayachandran sir, over to you.
Yes. Good afternoon, respected Principal Dr. K.V. Surendran, Professor Anita Haridas, Professor Ramya, Professor Sheena, and all the students, the young, vibrant students who have joined online for this session. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. This is something which we have heard throughout our life, because taking part in various seminars and talks of eminent personalities. This is the kind of attitude we always try to imbibe, particularly in today's scenario. Looking at the 21st century itself, we heard about the environmental impact that tsunami caused across the globe. Tsunami was a word which we never heard before that. And the first 20 years of this century, we have already two major global crises. I think we can start with the first slide. And the first has been the recession of 2008, when the world was turned upside down. The economic scenario was totally different since 2008, and still, even today, there are many countries which have not really come out of that recession of 2008. One slide before that, the earlier slide. Yes. And then this pandemic of 2020, which is already almost 8 to 9 months old, and there's still no clear indication as to where it is heading to, and still no clear picture as to when everyone around the globe will be out of this. So in these 8 months or 8 or 9 months since COVID-19 has been formally announced, every individual, every establishment, and even every government around the globe has been affected. Everyone has been hardly hit. People have lost their resources, their income, their salaries. Business have crumbled. Many are on the verge of winding up. Some may not even reopen. And most of the governments across the globe don't have enough funds to support their citizens, to handhold them to come out of this crisis, but are trying their best with the available resources to try and support as much as possible. So this is the biggest test for humanity, something which we have never thought about in our dreams. And that is when your character is tested, your determination is tested, your outlook is challenged, your way forward is something which you yourself have to create to make sure that you sustain yourself, you maintain yourself, and try to grow again. Next slide. When you look at the things that we have heard from different people, one particular thing which should inspire us is that you cannot be really blamed if you are born in a poor family, in a family that really can't provide you everything. But if you die poor, everyone says that only you yourself have to be blamed for that. Why? Because it simply is a proof that you have not used the available facilities, the resources, the support available to come out of the situation in which you have grown up. So we definitely have to accept the fact that if we really have not moved out of the difficulties and settled down in life in a comfortable situation within the 30, 40, 50 years of your life after your studies, then probably you yourself have to blame for that. And life in business is always a challenge. It's always unpredictable. Anything can happen the next moment. But your approach in taking things forward is actually shaped by your outlook, the way in which you have been groomed. I always believe that today's parents struggle a lot to provide everything that their kids need. I don't want to blame you all, but you are all being looked after so well, much, much better than we have been looked after by our parents, that a little disturbance in your life a little disappointment in your life, you get shaken up. You really get stuck. So in life as well as in business, these challenges keep cropping up. And when those challenges stare at you, it's how you have been groomed that takes you forward. If you have not been groomed in a tough scenario, now is the time to start looking at better thoughts to come out of all those tough situations. And when I talk to you today, as a businessman from a small town of a big country like India, what are my thoughts about the future? I would like to say that China has disappointed the whole world. China has disappointed the whole world in the sense that by not sharing the right information and by not warning people around the globe about the pandemic or the epidemic that might grow into a big pandemic, they have let us down. And that disappointment is something which could be turned into our benefit if leaders of our country, business community of our country, the citizens of our country, try to look at the opportunities that are going to come with it. Next slide, please. If you just ask me, what are we doing particularly to come out of this situation? What are the little changes that we have thought about? You see, sitting, as I told you earlier, in a small town like Kannur, a country which gives 40 or 50 different products from different parts of the country to make a total Indian home collection. An importer in a different country takes shipments from all these different parts of India. For example, from Kerala, in the home collection, an Indian home collection from Kerala, most prominent is Alapi's coir products and Kannur's home textiles. And from South India, an importer from UK, apart from these two from Kerala, must be taking the terry towels from Madurai, the voiles from Salem, the silk from Bangalore. Again, Kannur gives a lot of textile products, knitwears from Tirupur. And as you go up Surat, up to Kashmir, the whole country gives different exclusive products which are identified with their own geography, their own culture, their own way of making things. All these products combined together make the total Indian home collection. So 30 or 40 locations from India produces different products that decorate the homes around the globe. And to collect all those things, the importers are depending upon 30 or 40 suppliers in different parts of the country, shipping out the products from different ports of the country. And shipments coming from different companies being collected and set up in the shops that an importer has got in Europe or US or Australia or New Zealand, wherever. So that complete home collection, which has been coming from different parts of India, can we, as a supplier from Kannur, can we give a wider option to our customers by saying that, okay, from South India, 10 or 12 products, the entire things we will do from Kannur. We will collect it for you. We will put it in one basket. We will coordinate the shipment. We will make it as one shipment from our side so that the international buyers are feeling excited that, okay, instead of 6 or 7 suppliers, I can go to one person and get all these products, even though he doesn't make everything. But he has been willing enough to come out and say that in my basket, I'm ready to pull in 10 or 12 other products so that your collection is made more simple. Your selections are made much more easier. The shipments come to you as one instead of 10 or 12. So this is the kind of network that we are now trying to create by combining the different products that go out from India, which earlier has been shipped out by individual exporters from different locations of the country. And to showcase everything, to showcase all these products in Kannur, we need an international exhibition center in Kannur. And we are just in the first step of proposing a trade exhibition center near the airport to make sure that all these things work out well for us in the future. So this one slide is to tell you that we as business community in the textile industry are working out things to come out of this situation, to take advantage of the disappointment that China has created and to widen our network. So if I keep advising you, you can also ask me, what have you been doing? So this simply, I start with this particular slide to say that we are seriously trying to look into a bigger role so that we sustain ourselves in the world market. So the next slide, please. So now it's my presentation to you to make sure that you feel more inspired and more comfortable to look at things in a more positive way. What we expect from you, what will be good for you. Simply, as your honorable principal had commented, there are a lot of people who are going to be pushed out of their jobs. A lot of people are going to be pushed back in their life. A lot of people around the globe are going to become more poor or going to be in the poverty group. So that's the scenario we have. So as young aspirants, students who are looking at a bright future, you might feel a bit worried and concerned. And that's where we want to tell you that instead of waiting for the right job, look at your own business. Look at starting something on your own or with a few friends who are like-minded and maybe in the same class, of the same age. Instead of being a roaming outsider, why do I call it a roaming outsider? You see, wherever you go out of your place, leaving your hometown, you are an outsider. Like from other states, people come to work here, like the Bengalis or the Biharis or the Orissa guy or people from Tamil Nadu. We look at them as an outsider. And that outsider tag will be there with you if you leave this place to any other states in the country or to any other country outside India. You are an outsider. So you may be a success there, but you are always a roaming outsider. When you come here, yes, we say hello to you, you say hello to us. You have been outside this place. You are trying to make your life successful outside, but you are always carrying that outside tag whenever you are in another country. There has been a lot of successful Malayalis who went out of this place and have made it big. But there has been very bad examples of the setbacks some of them had faced due to very minor issues which would have normally been ignored if they were belonging to that country. One example is Mr. Muhammad Ali of the Gulfa Group. He shaped the new modern Oman with the great rapport that he has with the royal family there. A lot of infrastructure projects were done successfully by his company. He created an absolutely remarkable facelift for that country. But when one of his company was accused of having offered bribe to a local government official to get one of their project extended, the time to complete a project extended, he was put under house arrest in Oman. So being an outsider, even though he has been such a close friend of the royal palace, he still had to face the rule of the land. And that was strictly implemented, or strictly the rule was implemented only because he's an outsider. That's what I believe. If he was an Omani, he would not have been treated like that. Another example is Atlas Ramachandran. The time he had to spend in jail for obviously some issues against his company, But if he was in India, he would have not suffered that much. And being an outsider around the globe, your situation is a bit more vulnerable, as the rules of the land will be enforced more strictly when it is an outsider. That's what my belief is. And you have a responsibility to do something for your local place, to your hometown. The local resources available could be used in your own enterprise to create global success with that. After this slide, if somebody wants to raise some questions, and if it need to be more interactive, I think that will be better to make it more lively. If Professor Anita can just ask if there are some questions to be raised at this point, I'd be very happy to take them.
Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask the questions.
I hope the audio is very clear so far.
Yes, sir, it's very clear.
Fine. Am I going fast, or you want to?
No, sir, good pace.
Okay. By the time they get their questions ready, we go to the next slide, or?
Yes, sir, we can. I think there are no questions in the chat box.
Okay.
We'll continue with the session, sir.
Fine. Next slide. Okay. When we said that, why don't you start your own business? What are the advantages right now to really look at business in a positive way? You see, when I grew up, or when I studied 35 years back, when I joined my dad 35 years back, we had never heard about these projects which are available for people like you today. The startup projects, both the central and the state, are coming up with support up to rupees 2 crore individually and up to 4 crore for clusters. Stand-up funds, specifically for women entrepreneurs, up to 1 crore. And angel funds that are basically a dream-like stuff, some angel coming into your life and putting in money into your business. Then there is this Prime Minister's employment generation projects, the Mudra schemes, wherein loans up to 1 crore are available. The Microsoft and medium enterprises cluster development schemes, where clusters, which is a group of similar business joining together, those clusters are funded up to rupees 15 crore. Marketing hub scheme, wherein marketing your products, you get support from the government. Then the modified industrial infrastructure upgradation scheme, up to 50 crore projects, central government grant up to 50% and state government grant up to 25%. So if you have a unique idea, if you really are looking at support, I don't think there has ever been such a positive situation, such a positive outlook from governments for supporting the youth of this country. The reasons are very simple. We don't want to lose you people with the right and the bright brains to keep draining from this country. So to keep you here, the government has gone to the extent of giving you all kinds of support. And even with all these things, if you are not excited, then there is something wrong with you. There is something wrong with your outlook. So wonderful support from the governments, then wonderful facilities being created within Kannur. You see, I have been part of a team, probably Professor Anita knows it really well, how much as a team we have put in a lot of efforts to get the textile park here, to get the Town of Export Excellence recognition, to have the first textile design studio here, to get the National Institute of Fashion Technology here, and right now pushing for the Arikal port. The airport is already here. We have been a group, and I have been part of a group of a business community that kept on pushing the governments, the leaders, the rulers of this place to give us more infrastructure, give us more support. So now we have a textile park here. Anybody who wants to do a textile related business, the Kinsha Textile Park at Nadagani has got built up facilities. There are built up facilities wherein you can just have your machinery, set it up there and start a project within 3 months. And the funds are available from all these startups, stand-up, angel funding, PMEGP, the Mudra schemes, the Microsoft medium enterprises, cluster development schemes, the marketing up schemes, and the modified industrial infrastructure schemes. So this is an occasion where you have to just grab it. Grab the opportunities that are coming your way. And without looking negative, without feeling disappointed, without feeling upset, just look at the possibilities of creating your own business. While I complete this slide, I feel that a couple of questions have propped up. Maybe Professor Anita can look into that and we can reply to that and then go to the next slide.
Sir, Jayachandran sir, there are a couple of questions.
Yeah.
First one, what will be the situation of Kerala economy after COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Another question, what will happen to the future employment opportunities?
Both related to the state?
Second one, they have not mentioned the state,
Okay.
Maybe in general. The first one, Kerala economy.
See, every state in this country is going to be affected. There's no doubt about that. And that is where we, as business personalities and young students like you who are pursuing the field of commerce, have to look at the possibility of taking up the responsibility of providing jobs. And when so many schemes are available, and with the Kerala government having come up with, you start your business and get the license done in 3 years down the line. That's something which we have never heard of. Many interactions we had with the government is actually paying off. When we tell them the difficulties that we face in running the business here and the ease at which business is being done at other parts of the country and other parts of the world, they have been very positive. Have you ever heard of the industry department of a state, especially Kerala, coming up and telling you that you start a project, you give your application, the district level committee will give you an approval to go ahead, and you have time to get all the licenses ready up to 3 years' time. So I believe that if we use these possibilities, the Kerala situation will change, the Kerala situation will improve. Kerala, which has been dependent on the money coming from NRIs, or rather the NRKs, cannot simply sit waiting for those support in the future. Because situation in other countries are also not going to be stable in the next 5 years. It could take more than 5 years to be stable. So we have to make sure that we use the available resources, the available opportunities, and start working on some unique ideas that can be created into novel products which can be successful within the country and globally. And the second question is about the employment opportunities, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you just repeat the question again?
What will happen to the future employment opportunities?
Yes. So I think my answer to the first question almost covers the second question as well. We ourselves have to be the job providers. We are looked upon as the leaders of the trade and industry. Being commerce graduates, we have the responsibility of setting things in order. So I believe that if each one of you join with a couple of your friends, take up all the projects that are available, the schemes that are available, and look into a business venture, there are plenty of opportunities where you yourself can be successful in life, as well as provide jobs to 20, 25, or 50 people around the neighborhood. That is the way forward, and that should be the way you should think about in a crisis situation like this. I hope we can go to the next slide.
Sir, there are two more questions. Would you like to answer it now, sir?
Yeah, why not?
One from Aditya. Do you think COVID-19 will lead to a new age of environmental behaviors?
Yeah, of course. We are all now getting used to that. There is a total change in the way in which we interact with people. We go around. We have a lot of health protective gear that we are using today, and that actually is going to be the order of day-to-day life for probably a couple of years to come. You see, we were amused earlier when we go to the Asian countries. In some Asian countries, we used to see people wearing the mask on long flights, at the airport terminals, on the street, and we were looking at them a bit confused and amused as to what is happening around. When we go for exhibitions in Hong Kong and all, we had seen it happen. And now we understand, like, what is the reason why people have to be more careful. And this situation, the medical care and the environmental care, probably is going to continue for a long period, for the next couple of years. I think people are going to be very cautious, and it will make a big impact on the way in which the life around us moves on for the immediate future.
Sir, another question. Yeah. How do you foresee the crisis affecting income inequality in the country? Income inequality in the country.
Yeah. Well, that issue has always been there. The inequality has always been an issue, especially the big divide between the rural India and the urban India, the growth pattern. It has been a big issue, and this probably is going to put more stress on those factors. But if the farming sector gets all the benefits that are again and again announced and repeated and continuously provided year after, if they get all their benefits, well, the rural India can lift themselves up. And that probably will be the first step towards bridging the gap. And whenever we hear about the farmers getting all these support, the kind of setbacks they face due to a lot of difficulties in the areas that they work, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of proper water supply, the lack of storage facility, all these things have always been affecting them. However much the announcements and supports are, even then they have always remained below the poverty line, struggled to come out of the issues that they have. And it's only by providing them the right infrastructure to, like, say, even if you look at Kerala, the kind of crops that we have, the kind of agro products that we are not able to warehouse it, store it, convert it into a value-added product and sell it to different markets. simply because we don't have educated infrastructure for that. So the inequality will grow if we are not able to support the downtrodden, the people and the communities that really work on the fields in places where it is more stressed. The support is not coming to them at the right areas and the right time. Probably that inequality will grow. So everything that the government is trying to do now by focusing the support on the MSMEs, as you all know, is a big job providing sector of the country after agriculture. So the support on MSME and the agriculture sector will determine the future inequality of this country. If things don't really work out the way in which governments are planning, the resources, the economic growth will be in the hands of a few people of this country. So to have that spread out in all levels of life, it needs to be successfully implemented. We have a lot of wonderful schemes. We have a lot of wonderful aspirations, but implementation and effective implementation has always been the biggest bottleneck. We have to get over that to make sure that the right results are produced. Next question on the next slide. Professor Anindra?
One more question.
Yeah.
What will happen to the tourism and education sector after this pandemic?
Okay. Education sector, I'm sure that you people will have more inputs than me, but obviously the online education is actually getting to a level where I have felt that there will be a large number of students who will love to continue with that. But to mingle and to grow together, to share things in life, and to grow as a community, we need to have the campus surviving in a strong way as in the past. All these things, I'm sure in 3-4 months, all these things will settle down. Probably a complete comeback to the pre-COVID situation might take a few more months, but in 3 to 4 months, I believe that maybe by the beginning of the next year, the education system will be back on its normal course. And that should be good news for a lot of people. But some, I have at least had discussion with a few youngsters, my relatives. Some are enjoying this online system and feeling that they are more comfortable sitting at home. But I don't believe that's the way a whole generation has to grow up. They need to be out together with friends in the campus, learn from each other, be more close to the teachers. That will help them to grow in a much more stable manner rather than the online education that's being forced on the students at this moment. I think apart from education, there was one more point you were mentioning in that question, right?
So tourism.
Tourism. I think tourism will take much longer time to stabilize, because right now people are not willing to travel unless it is really important. Obviously, within the country also, the travel is happening only if it is really important. Overseas traveling, as you all know, the international flights are not yet open on a regular basis. So after that, traveling to different destinations, it is going to take probably one whole year, next year, if the pandemic is under control. And even then, 2021, people will rather stay within their area, within their country, and may start going out on a real journey, holiday outside the country, probably after 2021, if things stabilize as we all expect.
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, we'll take the questions at the end of the session, sir. We'll continue with the session.
Fine. The next slide.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. When we talk about a unique idea, there should be a certain factors which should take you towards the real conversion of that idea into a product. I think that that passion is important. How you look at an idea and how you conceive it and how you pursue it. There has to be a passion to build up that idea into a unique product. And that innovation should actually enhance the quality of life of the people for whom it is intended to. For example, if you're looking at a product in the health sector, the COVID pandemic has created a lot of different situations wherein you could see that what is really required for the public when a pandemic like this happens. And your product should be something which will enhance the quality of life of people by introducing it in the market. So it should have an innovation part into it. Price factor is always important for every product. Then the money somebody pays for it, there should be a worthwhile value for it. And ultimately that product becomes popular when it touches the heart of the consumer. With that product, how much is life, is day-to-day factors have been influenced by that one product becomes so important. And when you introduce a product, like in the case of the mobile phones, you can see that in 10 years, how much it has changed, how much different features have been added, how many new features have been added, and how good it is today as a product in our hand. If you just compare with the first mobile you carried, you can see that how much of relentless improvement has been happening in that sector. And it is actually today something that is substituting so many other gadgets that we have been depending upon. So probably that's something by which I mean as a unique idea, a unique product. Next slide. Can we just look at the next slide? This is all about the impact of MSME on the whole country. There are actually more than 6 crore MSME units in the country and is employing over and above 11 crore people. 11 crore is something around 10% of the population, near to 10% of the population. And perhaps with the people working on this sector, the kind of employment as well as the dependence on those employees. Ultimately, the figure is that around 25%, 1/4 of the Indian population depends upon the MSME units that are functioning in this country. It directly gives job for 11 crore people, but along with that, the people who work in those units and those who provide support to their family with these employments, together, combined together, the employees, the entrepreneurs, as well as the people who are depending on them, altogether 25% of the Indian population is dependent on this sector. And the big factor is that equally, like in the urban areas, the rural areas, 51% of the units are in the rural India. And the most important thing, as I believe that those who are studying at the Chinmaya Arts and Science College, the 20% of these units are owned by women entrepreneurs. That's the most important factor. And MSME sector, like in India, like everywhere, is the worst hit because they are small business personalities, small enterprises with low capital, and the business turnovers are lower. The setback that they face today is probably putting them under as the most vulnerable list. So the maximum government support today is being offered for the MSMEs like the farmers. Right? Probably the next slide. And sitting in Kannur probably, what are the focus areas or what are the sectors that probably have an immediate hope? What are the sectors that can be targeted? Being a textile guy, I always will believe that textile is a wonderful opportunity. We are specialized in home textile, but I would like you people to look at the materials that are being sold in the textile shops of our state. If you go to any big shop in Kannur, the textile shops, the garment shops, you just check about those products. 80% of the products are coming from other states. Either the material is from other state or it has been completely finished also from other state. Some cases, some people bring the material from other states and they do the garment conversion here. But overall, if you look at the garments and the textiles that are available in the textile shops within our state, about 80% of those products, either the garment or the textile fabric itself, is coming from other states of the country, providing job opportunities to millions outside Kerala. It's coming from Tamil Nadu, from Karnataka, from Maharashtra, from Gujarat, probably these 4 states being the nearer states to Kerala. A large quantity of our garments and textiles are coming from those states. So why don't the young women entrepreneurs of this place look at the possibility of getting the material produced, I mean, woven from this place and converted into garments in the style and fashion that we all like. We know what is our taste. We know what we like. We are getting all these stuff from our shops, but they are not made here. Either 100% of the fabrics are from other states or some fabric that has come from other states have been converted into garments. So generally 80% of the material that you buy from these shops are from other states. So that is where I feel there is a huge potential. The food sector, Kerala's cuisine is amazing, is awesome. And even NRKs outside the state would love to see ready-to-cook food products packed to international standards, the global markets being supplied from here. For that, we have been trying to push for a food park. It's still in the pipeline. If there is good momentum that could happen here, we have our own agro products like the best quality cashew that people know, like from Iriti side, Iriti Matanur side, the best quality cashew of the country is coming from that place. And there are a lot of imports also coming, but none of those imports are equal to the quality or match the quality of our products, our cashew nuts. So the cashew nut, jackfruits, the mangoes, the coconuts, all these agro products, they can all be stored, warehoused, processed, value-added products can be made out of that, pack them to international standards, and there is a big global market for that. Tourism, I will say that may come only a little later. Domestic tourism may start to rebuild probably after 3-4 months, by the time we may have our next monsoon. So probably it could be after the next monsoon that real pickup will be seen. Domestic tourism and international tourism, it could take some time, but there are a lot of possibilities in the tourism sector. You might have heard about the Malanadu Cruise Tourism Project, which is a project which has started slowly right from Mahi up to Kasaragod, connecting 9 big rivers. And it is a cruise tourism wherein there are theme-based stops in between these sectors, this area. It's probably a 300 crore project. The first 120 crore project has been sanctioned with 80 crore support from the central government. The construction is happening of all the boat stations. You can see that a lot of boat jetties are coming out, and this will be connected with theme-based stops, like there will be a food cuisine of Malabar at one stop. The next stop could be the martial arts, another stop could be the folklores. Then there could be handlooms, there could be like paddy cultivation. All these things are being lined up in this sector, where a tourist, when he visits this northern part of Kerala, once he travels in that particular sector, that length of our rivers, in a one-day trip, he will be experiencing a new phase of North Kerala. So all those things combined together, tourism opportunities are going to bounce back once everything settles down. But garments and textiles and the food sector and the agro products is always there. When I told earlier, look at the local resources and make global products, I really meant about the agro products. And that will lift our farmers also if they are getting better pay for their producers. If we can get a food park here, the storage and the processing and the packaging to the national markets and the global markets will be a possibility. Next slide. Well, when you talk about success in life, when you talk about getting tough to overcome the tough situations, there are certain things in a businessman that is very important. You have to be punctual and prompt. Punctual and prompt is just not being on time, being on a clear time schedule and things like that, but also punctuality and promptness with which you do things consistently. Then probably the second thing is like say only what you can do and do everything that you say. Probably if Indian politicians have used this sentence properly and have shown commitment to that sentence, there will be a lot of change. But for us, between us, what is that we should be careful about? Like you walk out of your house in the morning, you have your sibling, small sibling telling you, I need a chocolate. And you say, I will bring it in the evening. After the class, when I come back, I will bring it. Of course, you are all on online classes now, but when it was a normal situation, if you go out, if somebody asks for something and you promise that younger sibling that you will bring it in the evening, you should understand that that boy or the little girl is waiting for you to return with the expectation that you are going to come back with that chocolate which you promised. And if you turn up in the evening and say that, oh, sorry, I forgot about it, you know how much of pain will be felt by your younger sibling. It's just like that. When you say something to someone, just keep the word. This is meant just not on a domestic level, but every field that you are active. To your classmates, to your teachers, to your parents, to the neighbors, to the society, to the other business partners with which you work, the business community with which you are involved. You have to be reliable and dependable. Your words should have certain credibility. So say only what you can do and do everything that you say. Continuous improvement in life. Where you have reached, thank God you have reached this level. But continuously improving your skills, continuously improving your knowledge, trying to learn more things in life, trying to do little things in a better way than what you have been doing so far. This continuous improvement will always be lifelong. There is never a day you should feel complacent and feel that, yeah, I'm perfect. The day you start feeling that things will go wrong. And the willingness to do any assignment. You see, there are certain sectors where it's a teamwork, and one of the team member could not turn up, and then it's his job or her job. That kind of an attitude should not be there. There should be a willingness for every team member to do any assignment, because it's a collective effort, and be utmost sincere to the cause. Well, all these factors lead to a successful personality, lead to a successful business personality, lead to a successful citizen. So everyone, if they can, in their own field, keep to these basic things, basic principles in life, that will make you a much more happier and successful person. The next. Are we done?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's the last slide.
Yeah. So, well, that particular slide was kept at the fag end, because I feel that there are a lot of things we ignore, which actually has got a lot of value in life, especially for young aspirants who are being groomed at the Shinmya institutions. The moral values, the ethical values, the principles in life come out as a prominent things. So in any field of life, these are simple but basic things that one need to stick to, one need to try to fulfill and be committed to. So I think now we can take the rest of the questions. How much time are actually you have planned the whole session? Like
we can go up to 4:15, 4:20, no issues, sir.
Another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So let them come up with their questions, and then I believe that we can add more things, even things that are not in the slides, a few other factors that are important to know about Kannur, about our possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one more question.
Yes.
Is coronavirus a boon or a curse for domestic industries?
Well, right now it's a kind of a shock situation. We have all been shaken up. And obviously the first thought will be that, why are we so cursed? But as I told you earlier, if globally the disappointment towards the Chinese attitude becomes visible, if other major countries around the globe start to look at the Made in India tag, or the tag from other countries, more seriously and more favorably, and try and avoid made in Chinese products, on the long run is going to be a beneficial thing. I believe that at least 50% of the leaders around the globe of various countries have expressed their disappointment about how China has handled this situation. And that probably leaves people with a bad taste about the whole Chinese concepts. The Chinese products could get a negative approach from global consumers. And if that happens on the long run, I really believe that India is one country that has an advantage. And you might have already heard about many countries, particularly Japan. Japan has so many of its business investments in China. So many companies that are owned by Japanese citizens are running in China. And Japanese government has probably been the first government to come out and say that anyone who wants to move out of China, their factories and their business establishments, every support will be given by the Japanese government for them to find a new location. And that has been taken well by the Japanese investors. They are looking at India as one of the potential countries that can give them a new base to run their business. So this effect on things being pulled out of China, global consumer negative feel towards China, if all those things grow up, we have a chance. But that probably has to be one part of it. But on the other side, we have to be willing to put in greater efforts to fine-tune our quality of products, to fine-tune our outlook, to probably be more output-oriented so that we can be a successful competitor. There has been a price level everyone has been comfortable with, and that has been more through buying Chinese products and settling with Chinese items. So this kind of price level factor is very important. If Japanese companies come to India and manufacture a similar product which they have been earlier making from China, but find that the output created by our workers, the quality of workmanship of our workers doesn't match the Chinese output and quality of work, probably that will not help us in the long run. So we need to be fine-tuned. Our skills have to be fine-tuned. Every sector has to really raise themselves to the situation, to the opportunity that is available, but to fill in the shoes of people who have been very professionally and efficiently doing it for years. So that will be the challenge that we will face. But we definitely will stand to gain with all these combinations. A negative Chinese outlook from people around the globe, then our own preparation to make use of the chances, our own outlook by way of better output and better quality in our skills. These factors will combine in getting us the right result.
Thank you, sir. So one more question.
Yes.
Which sector of the economy is likely to recover the fastest?
Do you have options?
No. Which sector of the economy is likely to recover the fastest?
Sender. I really can't explain it because I don't really understand the meaning of that question. Can you help me?
Maybe, sir, you were talking about tourism, education sector, etc., etc.
Oh yeah,
So
you were saying you were using the word sector.
Sector, SECTOR.
I heard it as sender.
Oh, sorry. Which sector of the economy is likely to recover the fastest?
Well, I believe that the food sector, because that's one sector where local resources are available and people are looking at more and more into local items. I mean, if you look at a pre-COVID situation, I'm sure that today's farmers will accept the fact that more of their agro products are coming into the market and being sold much more faster these days. There has been a shift to the local producers and things on the food sector. So the food sector, the restaurants, the eateries, probably they will come back faster. Even today, if you look at the retail segments that are doing well, the supermarkets here, more of the food items, food products, and what all things we need at home, the vegetables and all these stuff. These are the things which always are required, and that will bounce back, and that probably did not get a big setback also. So I would say food sector. Second, maybe the industries will bounce back, especially with all the focus on the MSME sectors, the amount being offered to the MSME companies. I'm sure that most of the students must have understood that there has been 3 lakh crore project support schemes being provided to the MSMEs. Anyone who has already taken substantial loans from the banks without a new collateral security, straight away 20% on that amount which has already been availed, 20% amount is straight away given by the banks if you put in a simple request. So that has been meant to support the industry. So the industrial sector, I definitely believe, will improve. The automobile sector, especially, I think the two-wheelers, there is definitely going to be a big boost because people are probably a bit worried about the public transportation system. The trains have not been full-fledged. Even after it is full-fledged, people will hesitate to be traveling in packed situations. The buses, they are worried about it. So people are trying to find their own way of going to job, attending offices and stuff like that. So the two-wheeler sector, the automobile sector will also be in the priority list to come back. That's what I believe. So food sector, the industrial activities, the automobile sector, these areas I will say as the first few sectors that will come back and bounce back and start growing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Our principal has raised a question.
Yes.
What are the chances of students running startups along with their studies?
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe that the incubation center at the university is doing really well. That is supporting the students as they study for different courses to come up with their startup ideas and use those incubators and create their own business even when they're studying. That's happening already. That's what I believe. And we were all in that advisory committee of the university. Recently, we have not been in touch and really don't know the updated situation. But I believe that earlier it was being used very well by the students. And even if you look at other startup projects, like for example, near the Mangad campus of the Kannur University, there is a project called MyZone. It's an IT-related startup incubation center there. A government-supported project, and that is actually grooming a lot of young students to look at business as they are studying these days, like the NIFT and the engineering students have been using that facility really well. So looking upon the particular course that the students are pursuing, there are avenues today at Kannur University as well as MyZone to groom young students for themselves to look at startup projects and to create a venture side by side as they are learning things for their future benefit. I'm thankful that the principal has continued throughout the session to listen to my talk.
Thank you for your response.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Thank you, sir. One more question. How is e-learning impacting already burdened parents?
The last part of that question, can you please repeat? Already
The e-learning impact on already burdened parents.
You see, I think I have grown up to an age where my children are all already in different fields of business, and their learning process is already over. So I don't really have a personal experience, but I can imagine if the kids are at home and they are at home for the entire period of their life for the last many months. These kind of online learning from home is going to actually add more stress to the parents, because at the campuses, the teachers are taking care of the students, while at home, it becomes the mandatory obligation of every parent to ensure that the student is attending the classes, his or her child is attending the classes, they're properly learning things, they are properly updated with the situation. So that stress definitely will be there, and keeping a child under control at whatever age it is, a child is a child. So that burden probably will be felt by the parents. And that's what I guess, because as I told, at this age, I am more relaxed that no one at home is still a student. So that personal experience is not there. But I can assume and understand that it really puts a lot of burden on the parents of these days, especially in a situation where they are being groomed through online studies and stuff. Hope I've been close to your satisfaction in replying to that, even though I don't have a personal experience right now. Professor?
Yes, so thank you, sir. I think there are no more questions. Participants, if you have any more questions, you can post it here. Or even you can unmute your mic and you can ask the questions.
I believe that at the end of this session, I would like to also make a statement about the willingness of participants to ask questions. You see, if you understand from eminent personalities like, say, our own Ajit Balakrishnan sir of Rediff.com, when he sits with us, he always drives home this point that our students are brilliant, they have the right talent, they have the knowledge, but in expressing their doubts, they are very timid. They reserve a lot of things which should normally have been expressed openly. This factor also becomes a negative part of their character when they go for an interview. They attend an interview and then their answers are not as spontaneous as someone from another state who is actually less talented and not up to the quality level of our students. But the way in which people express things, they take the cake and they get plum posts, which actually they should not have if you compare their talent with our students. So expressing one's ideas coming out with the questions without being burdened with the feeling that, oh, am I asking the right question? Whether others will feel that I have not been asking an appropriate question. That attitude has to change. That attitude has to change, because only when you ask questions, you really get to know more from others whom you feel can help in guiding you. So probably even today, I believe there has been 10 questions at the most. There could have been more questions if people really wanted to know more about Kannur as a whole, the area as a whole, the possibilities of this area, and individually, what could be the way in which they can approach banks and other institutions to attain their goals in life, to use the schemes and projects that governments are offering. So hopefully, students will have that outlook to come out and be spontaneous and ask more questions.
Sir, could you take one more question, sir?
Yeah, definitely.
Sir, the question is, what is your take on the next generation taking up the control of managing family firms in this scenario?
Well, family firms means that you're extremely lucky, like to already have something to start off in life, right, Professor?
Yes, sir, probably.
Yeah, you see, I have been a person who has very much benefited, because my grandfather started a textile weaving factory. My father started exports. And I was extremely lucky to have that platform. Those days, like 35 years back in Kannur, what would have been my future with a BCom certificate? I certainly believe that that has given me the lifeline, and that has been the way through which I have built up my life. So every generation, whichever generation it is, if you have a family business that is already established or started, you are lucky that you did not have to go through the struggle of the initial days of finding the funds, of finding the right business and settling down in a sector which would have been successful. So now that your family, your parents have got it done for you, I think you are only disappointing the society by not taking up that opportunity. So anyone with that kind of a blessing should definitely take it up, and I will only blame the youngsters or the current generation if they are not keenly moving into a business that is already set for them. And I believe that there is a great future if they can build on what has already been set for them. And that probably could be an inspiration for a lot of colleagues in the same field to come up and do something really in a fruitful way in their own hometown.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for patiently answering all the questions.
Maybe
think
some areas where I don't have a direct experience, like the current set of students at home, how much it burdens the current day parents. That probably such questions I may not be the right person to answer, but someone who is really experienced that would have given a much better and beautiful answer for that.
Sir, I think maybe Surendran sir could help us. Okay. Surendran sir, would you like to take the question, sir?
Yes, what's the question?
How is the e-learning? How is the e-learning? What is the e-learning impact on already burdened parents?
I think he has already answered the question, and we are actually recovering. And even when e-learning is there, everything else goes as usual. like staff probably, if I can come to what do you call it, down to earth or whatever. Staff gets their salary, and naturally everything should go as usual, so to say. And of course, I look at it more as an emotional issue, like getting in a company or all kinds of things that the students are missing. And probably these kinds of things are adding or probably reducing their misery. Like once in a while we are getting such chances and so on, and all the time we should not worry about the past days or how things used to be in the past. We are in a different kind of situation, and we have to get habituated to that kind of situation, and no escape from that. So because 10 years back or 20 years back, nobody thought of mobile phone for that matter, or nobody thought of digital transaction and all kinds of things. So we are entered a new era where we are to get used to it and look forward to optimistically, and accept the change, whatever change is happening around us. There's no way out. And personally, I feel that everything has come to somewhat normal kind of situation. So it is better not to be miserable. And as I said, look towards future in an optimistic way, and hope that everything will take the proper shape in very near future itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I think we are done with all the questions.
Fine.
If no more questions from the participants.
Yeah. Before you wind up, I would like to place on record my sincere thanks for the organizers for having invited me. I have been to your campus many times. Both my sons had been groomed up at the Chinmaya Vidyalaya, just in the same premise. I have great respect for the entire Chinmaya fraternity, the faculty members, and even though I have not met the principal, I am grateful to you, sir, for having been part of my talk throughout.
Thank you very much. It was an excellent presentation, very engaging, especially from a person who has so much of experience. For your information, I was also there in SN College, for my degree, of course,
Okay.
in the early 70s.
Okay. I was at SN College from 81 to 86. 1981 to 86.
76 actually, 1976. My graduation. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Look forward to a day to meet you, sir.
Definitely, we'll meet very shortly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jayachandran, sir.
My pleasure.
Let me invite Ms. Sheena, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Commerce and Management, to propose the vote of thanks. Sheena, over to you.
Okay, Miss, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. It's a great honor for me to be proposing the vote of thanks on behalf of the PG Department of Commerce and Management. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Principal, Dr. K.V. Surendran, sir, for his presidential address. Thank you very much, sir, for your moral support and guidance. I take this opportunity. Thank you, sir. I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to our distinguished resource person of the day, Mr. C. Jayachandran, sir, for gracing today's webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for your interesting and thought-provoking address. Your speech has enlightened us on different sectors which has been affected by this crisis, and it has also inspired us to maintain a positive mindset during this pandemic. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank Ms. Anita Haridas, Head of the Department of Computer Applications, for providing us all the technical support for organizing this webinar. Thank you very much, ma'am. I also like to thank the head of the department of PG Department of Commerce and Management, Ms. Ramya, and all my colleagues for all their efforts in organizing this webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for your active and continued support, active participation and continued support. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Sheena. Jayachandran, sir, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Sir, there is a question posted in the YouTube channel live chat.
Okay.
Could you please take that question, sir?
Yeah, please. Can you Can you read it out for me?
Yeah, yes, sir. What will be the changes that take place in business field after COVID?
Yeah. Basically, the whole global scenario has changed. For me, as a textile exporter sitting in Kannur, I had, before the COVID breakdown, around 10 customers in different countries regularly ordering and buying from us. And after the global lockdown, like only 5 customers have come back to business. I mean, they are open, but they are still not back to the normal level. So for me, it has been like 50% of the customers need to restart. Likewise, everyone has been impacted by this. There is probably only a few individuals who have not been really hurt financially, economically, or in their business fields. So the change is unprecedented, unexpected as well. So it's like trying to come back from this is probably what is very significant. And I think the most important thing is your determination to come out of any crisis, any challenge that is thrown up. And COVID will definitely be remembered by all of us in our lifetime and for generations to come as well, because that will be a learning experience that everyone will share with others. This whole thing, as it stands now, is still not completely gone out of the stage. It still is playing its own very, I will say that, damaging role in different ways to different people. So in business, I feel that this has been a really bad phase for many people. Not to lose heart, and as our title for today's program itself says, when the going gets tough, the tough has to get going. So we need to have that tough outlook, have to have that, I would say, the trust in our own abilities to overcome this. And we will definitely find light at the end of the tunnel. The scenario has changed in a dramatic way, and there's no doubt about that. Every business has been affected. Let's try to build on the base and try to come out of this. And I wish all the students a very bright future. Don't get disturbed, disillusioned by what is happening right now. My whole experience in life is that these setbacks come in one form or the other. And since this is a global phenomenon, there is nothing to be taken as personal, as it's as a single issue or one's personal issue. This is a global phenomenon, and there will be a lot of feelings around the globe about how different people have come out of the situation. In the next few months, you will see wonderful stories and wonderful experiences being shared by different people as to how they have overcome the situation. And as we pray for the entire world, for all the crores of people who have been affected by the disease, the more than 10 lakh people who have lost their lives, while we pray for their soul, let us say that we are the lucky ones who still survived, who still have not been probably pushed back to the wall like the 10,50,000 people who have disappeared from the globe. So we should consider ourselves lucky, and we should consider ourselves more responsible and more committed to a global comeback. So let's all work together for coming back in a much more faster and much more resilient manner. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Chinmay Arts and Science College, once again, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
I thank all the participants here. Participants, an attendance and feedback form is posted in the chat box. Please fill in your details to receive your e-certificate. Those who have filled the form, you may leave the meeting.
So with your permission, I am
Yes,
also
sir.
leaving.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, sir. Bye.
Yes, bye, sir. Bye.
Bye. Bye.